All right, guys, welcome to another session of Star Trek Adventures. This session is going to be titled A Vulture Among the Stars, and we're just going to jump right into it. You guys are the bridge crew of the U.S.S. Sojourner, which is a Galaxy-class starship, and I'm going to start out with a captain's log to bring you guys up to speed on the situation. Captain's log, stardate 48214.85. We've received a distress call and are currently traveling at maximum warp to investigate. The signal appears to have originated with a transport vessel called the U.S.S. Eye of Melornia, traveling near an expansive ring of asteroids known as the Pinnakin Belt. The message, a garbled voice recording from the transport's captain, sounded panicked and made it clear that the vessel was under attack. Sensors indicate the discharge of energy weapons and explosions are consistent with heavily damaged warp core. Our ETA puts us in the center of the Pinnakin Belt in 2 minutes. So just to set the scene a little bit, you guys are on the bridge of this Galaxy-class starship. It looks very much like the U.S.S. Enterprise D from Star Trek The Next Generation. Sitting in the center seat in the captain's chair is Captain Tyrell, a Vulcan woman played by Joseph. Commander Thonir, who is the #1, the executive officer, an Andorian, is standing behind the technical console behind him. And then in front of the view screen, you've got those two computer consoles. One is ops and one is con. The one on the right is the con. That's the person who steers the ship and navigates, and that is Lieutenant Antoniou, played by Steven. So why don't you guys go ahead and sort of introduce yourselves and your characters and give me a sense of what your characters are thinking as the red alert klaxons are blaring, the lights are flashing. You guys are 2 minutes from certain danger. You guys are warping into an intense situation. So why don't we start with the captain, Captain Tyrell. What are you thinking?
Although it is unwise to speculate needlessly, I believe that there must have been some sort of strange combat incident there. Such damage and such readings would be quite hard to replicate without some manner of combat.
Okay. How about Commander Thonir?
One that there is definitely, the residue of weapon signatures from obviously phasers or disruptors and other types of weapons and all that, and the core breach and all that. That what we may find may be rather ugly on the one hand, and of what's left of the Eye of Melornia, and to find out who has done this despicable thing is definitely top priority on Thonir's mind.
Yeah, and just to remind everyone, Thonir did drop kick an android to death in the last session. So I imagine this Andorian is spoiling for a fight. And then we'll go to the front. We'll go to the front of the bridge with Lieutenant Antoniou. What are you thinking?
Confused. Maybe I didn't catch it. This red alert that's happening, is it something wrong with the ship, or is something coming towards us?
Nothing is wrong with the Sojourner. You guys have picked up a distress call, and sensors have indicated that there is some sort of starship combat playing out. This transport vessel has been heavily damaged near this expansive asteroid belt. You guys are warping to the rescue.
Okay, just making sure.
And
I'm going to. Yep.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm going to chart hazards and just check and make sure that there's not like around that might do something bad, or
That sounds like a really smart thing to do. Let me just check what that says. So this is a reason plus con task. One thing I should mention, when you guys are performing these tasks on the starship, you guys are assisted by the starship, because the ship obviously has highly advanced equipment, and it's built for this kind of thing. So when one of you rolls a task, someone else will roll assistance for the ship. And assistance is just rolling 1d20 instead of 2d20. But that, if you roll a success, it obviously helps. So this is a reason plus con task for Lieutenant Antoniou with a difficulty of 2. And someone else, I don't care which of you other two, will roll a sensors plus con check.
I'll go ahead and do that.
And just 1d20 for the ship.
1d20 for the ship?
Yep.
So I only roll the 1d20, or do I roll 20s for me also?
You are rolling for the ship, so you just roll 1, and Lieutenant Antoniou will roll the check as he's using his navigation console to see what this asteroid belt has in store.
Right. Am I trying to beat my number or go lower?
You want to roll lower than your target number.
Okay. So I rolled a 20 versus my 11 for reason, but I did. Actually, yeah, I rolled over both of them.
Okay. And the 20 actually creates a complication. That's like a critical fail.
Right.
Actually, at this early juncture, rather than create a complication for you, I'm going, actually, you know what? I can think of something. So as you are getting ready to navigate this asteroid belt, you realize that the ship, the U.S.S. Melornia, Eye of Melornia, is in sort of the center. Imagine this as like a peach, right? And the sort of flesh of the peach is an asteroid belt, and that pit in the middle is actually open space, as if this debris kind of expanded outward from a central location. So there is this great expanse of open space that's surrounded by a sphere of asteroids. And you realize as you attempt this navigation task that it's going to be pretty difficult to get from where you guys are outside that asteroid belt to the inside. And that is a complication that you'll have to overcome.
Right.
Okay, and then on the sensors, I rolled a 2.
Okay, so that's 1 success. The charting hazards is a difficulty 2. So while you got a success, Stephen didn't get any. So the ruling kind of stands on that one.
Balanced out, right?
Yep.
Okay.
So you guys are just a couple of minutes away from entering this asteroid belt. Does anyone else want to try anything to prepare or to gather information, anything like that?
Well, since we are going into what seems to be a combat situation, I recommend to the captain battle stations. Up.
Yes, I agree. The shields would be most useful in such a dire situation as an asteroid belt.
Raising shields is just a minor action. It doesn't require you to roll dice or anything like that. So I would imagine that Thorin would raise shields then.
Okay. Yep. Thonir raises the shields at tactical, and we are at battle station. So if we do need to go into combat ourselves, everybody should be at their station ready to go.
Yep, and it's not just the 3 of you on the bridge. There's other officers at all the other stations. You've got ensigns kind of running along those sign stations to the aft of the bridge. Everyone is ready for a fight right now. Anything else before you guys drop out of warp?
Okay.
When we reach the area, I would like to scan the belt for life signs, be them enemy or foe hiding amongst the cover of the rocks.
Cool.
Okay. Yeah,
Anything
that would
else?
have to be one of the ensigns at the science stations doing that, I guess.
We would probably, I think that would just fall under the navigator. You guys are going to kind of have to encompass several different roles because there's just 3 of you.
Cool.
So that would be Stephen rolling that one, and someone would also use the ship to assist.
I can use the ship.
Okay. So you guys drop out of warp. The stars on the view screen go from those elongated streaks to just points of light in the infinite distance. And you guys come out of warp on the outside of this huge asteroid belt that just expands, takes up pretty much the entire view screen. And you know that somewhere on the other side of this large expanse of asteroids, there is a damaged ship that's in grave danger.
Okay.
So, Stephen, did you want to check
Kind of.
sensors?
Sure. What kind of roll?
That would be we'll call that reason plus science, and assisted by the ship, which is...
I got 2 successes.
Okay, cool. We don't even need to worry about the ship then. Yeah, so you are able to perform a quick sensor sweep to get to the heart of the asteroid belt. The captain asked if there were any life forms in the asteroids. You don't pick up anything like that. But you do pick up this badly damaged transport vessel, the U.S.S. Eye of Melornia, and it looks like it is moments away from a warp core breach. You notice that there appear to be 4 lifeboats, these small vessels that have between 10 and 12 humanoid life forms aboard each one, that's sort of scattering and drifting through space. You also pick up what looks to be a Ferengi Marauder that has one of those lifeboats currently in a tractor beam and is about ready to pull it aboard.
Okay. Shall I target the Ferengi Marauder, Captain?
Yes. Target it immediately. Open contact.
Phasers or photon torpedoes?
Photon torpedoes. We have to act immediately. The vessel could explode at any moment.
So I'll be targeting the tractor beam array on the Ferengi vessel with a photon torpedo or 2.
Okay. So this is a long distance target because you are basically, there's 3 zones in this fight. The outside zone where you guys are currently is just sort of interstellar space. There's a second zone inside of that, which is the asteroid belt. And then the third zone is this core of empty space in the middle. So you guys are basically 2 zones away from where the Ferengi ship is. So it's a long distance shot, but I think that photon torpedoes are optimal at long distance.
Right. Range long, 3.
Perfect. So,
may I ask?
Go ahead and
may I ask how I can use my CO abilities to assist in this?
Yeah, you certainly can. If you want to, I forget what the actual mechanic is, but basically you give an order to, like, let's say, fire photon torpedoes. That person gets to act on your turn, so they can still get another action later in this round, and you get to assist on the task. Is that what you want to do here?
Yeah, I have the option to create advantage, direct, or rally.
So this is direct, yeah.
Okay.
Should I also go into an attack pattern?
You can, but so you guys get to act first. One of you gets to take an action. And in this case, this would be the captain using her direct action, which would then allow the tactical officer to fire photon torpedoes. Immediately after that, presumably, the Ferengi would get to act, unless you guys spend momentum to keep the initiative. Right now, you guys don't have any momentum.
Right, and the thing is that's where we'll need Lieutenant Antonio to do an evasive maneuver, I am sure.
Yeah.
That could very well be.
All right.
Okay, so Captain Terrell is using the direct action, which allows the tactical officer to fire photon torpedoes, and Terrell gets to assist, which is rolling 1d20. So this, the tactical officer said you are targeting the tractor beam emitter.
Tractor beam, array. Yeah.
So that targeting a specific system adds 1 to the difficulty. So this is a difficulty. This would be a difficulty 2 shot.
Okay, and then I have control plus security. Also get assisted by the ship's weapons and security.
Yes.
So I add those, correct? Like my control plus security would be 10 or less I need, correct?
Yeah, you want to get equal to or less than your target number, which, yes, would be control plus.
And then the ship would need 12 or less. So do I roll for just the ship, or do I roll for me first?
So have someone else, you just roll for yours, and then have someone else roll for the ship. Actually, so Stephen, you roll for the ship. Captain Terrell, you roll for your assistance, and the tactical officer rolls his 2d20s.
All right. Okay, I've got a 6 and a 3. So the 6 is definitely under control, and 3 is definitely right on the money for security. So.
Okay, so that's two successes. So you've successfully fired. If you get more successes, you generate momentum. So
I gave a 10.
And you needed a. Oh, that's not the right one. Sorry, I'm kind of switching between everybody's character sheets here. What was your Terrell? It would be your command. I'm sorry, your presence plus your command will be your target number, Captain Terrell.
That's a 13, so I beat the number by 3.
Okay, so you have generated 1 momentum, and Steven, you were rolling for the ship.
Yeah, I got a 6.
Okay, so you guys successfully fired a photon torpedo through the asteroid belt and hit the Marauder, and you generate 2 momentum. So, tactical officer, go ahead and roll damage.
Momentum at like a group currency.
Yeah, Captain Terrell, keep track of our momentum, and thank you. And how many dice do I roll for the damage?
The Sojourner's photon torpedoes are 3 CD, so 3d6.
D6. All right. Now.
And then it's high yield, so you add 1 to whatever else. So tell me what you get on your 3d6, and then we'll go from there.
I got a 5, a 5, and a 2.
Okay, so the 2 is 2, and the 2 5s are 1. So that's 4 points of damage plus 1 because it's high yield. So you did a total of 5.
Okay.
So Starship Combat, each ship has a resistance, which is basically it's able to shrug off certain points of damage because of its structure. And this Ferengi vessel, actually, its resistance is 5. So the photon torpedo streaks through the asteroid belt, and it detonates on the shields, but it doesn't appear to do any real damage to the Marauder. And immediately after that, the tactical officer, you receive hail from the Marauder.
Okay. I will inform the captain and
Open the channel.
okay, opening the channel with visual.
And all of a sudden, yeah, appearing on the screen, you see it's kind of a surprise. It's a female Ferengi, and she sort of squawks at you. She says, "Starfleet vessel, this is Captain Brasha of the Litigator. You risk being blown out of the stars if you travel any deeper into the Pinnakin Belt. If you wish to collect the passengers and crew involved in this personnel relocation operation, you may contact the Orion Syndicate and arrange for the payment of an appropriate fee."
Oh. Well, that definitely, if Andorians have had feathers, that would definitely be ruffling mine.
This is
to have our own Federation people released. I don't know about that, but that I'm thinking this to myself. I'm not voicing it out loud yet.
Yeah, Captain Terrell, how do you respond?
our intention is not to pay for hostages. Release them immediately, or we may have to resort to physical force.
Well, in that case, you'll have to come in through the asteroid belt.
So be it.
But is it the logical thing to do?
But this situation is very illogical. They have a female Ferengi as their captain.
Yeah.
I am well versed in many cultures, and this does not make any sense to what I know. Unless this game is more inclusive and open than the show is.
No, you actually, this is definitely unusual to you. You know that women in Ferengi culture are generally not even allowed the luxury of clothing. It would be highly unusual for one to be captaining Marauder.
Yes. The mere fact that she's in charge of the ship would indicate that there's some sort of strange thing happening aboard that ship, be it a deception or something else.
So the screen goes blank again, and you guys now have a view of the asteroid belt once again. The litigator's action was to open hailing frequencies, so the initiative goes back to you guys. Any one of you, aside from Captain Terrell, who's already acted, may now act.
I'm well. Wait, I'll wait for what Lieutenant Antoniou is doing. If he's going to head us straight in, and as he is, then what I'll be doing while he's doing that is the phasers and photon torpedoes for full attack procedures on the Ferengi target.
I'm going to turn to the captain. Orders, Captain.
Enter the belts, avoid meteors, asteroids, and open fire upon the vessel.
That's what I'm doing.
Out of character, they don't have any prisoners aboard that we know of, right?
Not that you know of. You see that one of the lifeboats is stuck in the Ferengi's tractor beam, and it looks like it could be pulled aboard at any time.
Okay.
Should I roll another, I guess, chart hazards to try to move through the asteroids?
In this case, getting through the asteroid belt, because you've already attempted to chart hazards and you've created a complication, this is going to be a daring or control, your pick, plus con task with a difficulty of 3 to successfully navigate your way through the asteroid belt into the center of the formation.
All right, I'll do control and con.
And this would be assisted by the ship as well, so one of you can roll for the ship.
All right, I'll go ahead and roll for.
I got 1 success.
Okay.
It is a critical success, though.
Okay, then that counts as 2 successes then. So you've got 2, you need 1 more.
Nice.
Yeah, I rolled, and I rolled a 1. Is that a critical success?
That's also a critical
Nice.
success. So that counts as 2. So you needed 3, and you got a total of 4. So you've also generated a point of momentum. Do you want to use that momentum now to improve the quality of your success, or do you want to store it for later?
I'd like to use it right now. This is a difficult task, and we should advance as best we can.
Okay, cool. So you will say that you were able to fly through the nebula, and everyone kind of has to kind of sit back in their seat, and the captain, you're sort of, even though you're a stoic Vulcan, your knuckles turn white as you sort of grip the armrests of your chair. But expert piloting, you're able to navigate through the asteroid belt, and you're also able to position the Sojourner to get between 2 of the lifeboats and the Marauder to sort of protect them, so they're not in a direct line of sight.
Very good.
Okay, and then I will.
Wayne, if you want to act, you will have to use your 2 momentum to keep the initiative. Otherwise, it's the Marauder's turn again.
Okay, I will use the 2 momentum.
Okay.
To maintain the initiative, to do the attack on the one hand, and also to order the ensign at the communications and all that to at least these two lifeboats that were between, and tell them to come into our hangar bay.
Yeah, so the hailing frequencies are opened, and the people in the lifeboats are thrilled to see Starfleet coming to their aid, but they say that they have only the barest maneuvering thrusters, and they're lifeboats that basically are adrift through space right now. They've got minor shielding to prevent beaming, and they've got very minimal thrusters, but they're not going to be able to cover a lot of ground to actually pilot into your hangar bays, which would also require you to lower shields for a moment as well.
Right. Yeah. Right. I know. But I figured it might be worth the risk to rescue them. But if this is the case, being between them is going to have to be enough for a while.
Yep.
I relay this, information and officer opinion on this situation to Captain Terrell. So.
Cool.
It would be unwise to risk the lives of everyone on the ship to lower the shields in an attempt to save a small fraction of these displaced individuals.
Very good. So then I will do my also my attack then, I guess, with the...
So you're now...
Do I have to pick phasers or photons, or can I fire all?
You can't fire all, but you can pick either or. You're now in what's considered close range. You're in the same zone as the Ferengi Marauder.
Okay. Well, then I'm going to go for the phaser arrays.
Okay. So that is
in a series of bursts up and down the full length of the vessel.
okay. Are you targeting a specific system?
Are we on the port or the starboard side? In other words, port is the left side of the vessel, starboard is right, and
Yeah, you tell me. This is kind of theater of the mind.
okay.
Really, all that matters mechanically is that you're in close range right now.
The way I'm looking at it, coming into the nebula from space and where they were attacking and all that, then I guess I would be attacking their starboard side because they were kind of like off to our left is how I pictured.
Sure. Cool.
Okay, very good then.
Okay, so let me hold on just one second, and I'm going to make sure that I've got the difficulty for phasers correct.
Yeah. Range is medium. It's versatile too. And it's 9 hit die of damage because I guess you do several bursts, so that's why it builds up damage.
Yep. So energy weapons are difficulty 1 because you're not in your optimal range. That bumps it up to a difficulty 2. So yeah, this is a difficulty 2 task.
Okay, and that goes against my control and security and against the vessel's weapons and security.
Yep. And so you roll your 2 dice, and someone else can roll for the ship.
We leave that to the captain. That would be, yeah.
All right, I'll roll.
Okay, man, I'm rolling pretty darn good here.
The ship decided that it wanted to roll a 20, so the ship is of no help.
Okay, and that creates another complication.
Okay, but I rolled both of them under mine, 7 and 5, so that, with my 10 or less. So
okay, so you
firing of the phasers went well. Now what happens, we'll see.
So now you go ahead and roll your 9 challenge dice, your 9 d6s, to find out how much damage that does.
Right, very good. Another one right here. Nope, I only have 8, so I'll have to roll one again after that. Okay, so 6, 2, 6, 3, 2, 6, 3, and 5.
Okay, so that, by my count, that's 9 damage. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think so. If 5 or 6 is just 1.
Yep.
So there's 4 1s. No, there's 4 1s, 2 2s, a 1, and a 3. The 3 is 3 damage, correct? Or is that a different thing also?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Is 3 damage?
No, 3s and 4s are nothing. 1's a 1, a 2's a 2, 5s and 6s are 1s.
Okay, so there's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 damage. Yes, you're right. Absolutely correct.
Okay.
Very
Cool.
good.
And that also, because it's your versatile quality, versatile 2 means whenever you make a successful attack, you generate that much momentum. So you got 2 momentum back, and you did 9 points of damage. The Ferengi vessel has a resistance of 5, so it takes 4 points of damage to its shields, which are reduced by that much. A lot of math here, but
Right.
so I'm going to mark that down real quick.
Steve, as Captain Terrell, are you keeping track of all our momentum points, sir?
Yes.
I've got the markers. Right now you've got 2.
Thank you, thank you. All right.
I thought we used those 2 to make an attack.
All right.
Yeah, so you can only keep the initiative like twice in a row, and then the bad guys have to act.
All right, so how many do we have? Do we use both of those, or do we use a second one?
We used 2,
Right.
but then we generated 2 more.
Yep, exactly.
So we have how much left then?
You got two right now. You just generated 2 with that successful attack. But because there was a complication created, Steven, you're sitting there at the navigation console and you're sort of monitoring the sensors, and you realize that there was the warp core on that the SSI of Melornia is really starting to go critical, and it's emitting a lot of radiation, which is having some strange properties with the material that forms the asteroid belt. You're not exactly sure what's happening, but something strange is going on out there.
Going to relay that information and keep an eye on that for sure.
Yes, we'll have to try to reposition ourselves with the Ferengi ship between us and the critical vessel.
Okay, so the litigator, the Marauder, actually, after taking this direct hit to its shields, it releases that single lifeboat from its tractor beam, but it sort of banks around and positions itself toward the Sojourner, and it is going to use its electromagnetic pulse. Okay. So it hits, and this is going to do... the deck underneath you bucks as this huge wave of electromagnetic energy crashes into your shields. And it does 8 CD. No. 10 CD. I can roll a bunch of D6s. So that does 6 points of damage to the Sojourner, which has a resistance of 7. So actually, you guys don't suffer any actual damage, even though it was a successful attack.
Good deal.
Rolled a lot of 4s on my damage dice.
Well, we're thankful for that.
Okay, so the initiative is back with you guys.
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and shift us into an attack position, which I have a daring and con with difficulty of 2, and if it works, then it lowers, until my next turn, it lowers all attacks down a difficulty.
Okay.
So I'm reading that right. So I'll go ahead and put this in an attack pattern with 2 fails.
Oh,
Gotta change dice.
Yep.
So you try to put the Sojourner into this attack pattern, but you actually end up sort of opening up your flank to the Ferengi's disruptor rays. Do you guys want to spend your momentum to keep the initiative, or do you want the initiative to go back to the litigator?
Do each of us get a turn, though, first before the litigator goes, or only one of us get a turn?
Oh, only one of you, and then it goes back to the litigator.
Oh.
Unless you keep the momentum.
Did not realize that.
Yes, I would like to use an initiative for us to be able to continue pressing the attack.
Okay, cool. So that will use your 2
momentum. I was thinking that we could use our momentum for me to reinforce the shields on our, at the rear of the ship on our flank and all that. Can we build up the shield stronger to the back than the front?
So you guys haven't lost any of your shield points?
There's
so
a lot of shields here.
Our shields are standing at maximum power right now. I don't believe a reinforcement is in order, sir.
Okay. All right. Gotcha. Okay. All right. I just had to ask the question because I see this modulate shields.
Yeah. I think that there is something that allows you to get 2 points of shield energy back, but I don't think there's anything that allows you to go beyond 100% of what your shields are, and you're at 100% now.
That's why I was asking if we can make that movement or not. Okay, well then we gotta. What it is I'll just have to fire the arrays from the rear of the ship at the Ferengi vessel. Which means I guess it's only 1 photon torpedo port instead of 2, and
I'll be using
Well,
the
basic phaser attacks though, because it works on that oval or circular array on the top end of the saucer.
yes. Shouldn't we be using the phasers up close?
Yeah, yeah. Are we still at close range, or with the maneuver, did we get a little further away in medium range, or what?
You're still considered in close range. The only time you'd be moving beyond close range now is if you went back into the asteroid belt.
Gotcha. Okay. So that reduces our advantage. But it says versatile 2. What's versatile 2 mean?
Versatile means you generate 2 points of momentum every time you make a successful attack with your phasers.
Very good then. All right.
So are you guys keeping the initiative? Are you using your 2 momentum?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Then you guys can decide what you'd like to do.
All right.
Gonna
Yes, we're using our phasers to attack.
Okay. Go ahead and make that attack, Wayne, and someone can roll for the ship as well. The ship is, you roll 1d20 and and your target number is 12.
All right.
Okay. One success, one fail. But
Okay.
The ship
nothing
failed.
anyway.
Okay, so you needed 2 successes because you're at close range with the phaser. So your phaser attack misses.
Okay.
We go back to the litigator, which actually just for a moment drops its shields and positions itself near one of the lifeboats, and it's going to try and tractor beam it aboard.
Okay.
And it misses. How do I narrate that? Someone narrate for me how you fail a tractor beam test.
As it's
Obviously, our last attack, internal equipment somewhere, and their tractor beam is offline at the moment.
Perfect. Well done, Wayne. Okay, you guys have the initiative again.
All right, Lieutenant Antonio, maneuver us in a better position.
Okay. I will try the attack position again.
Okay.
That is a lot better. That's 2 successes.
And it's a difficulty 2, correct?
It has a difficulty 2.
Okay, cool. Captain Terrell, you've got to give the attack pattern a name.
use attack pattern Gamma.
Perfect.
Okay.
I also get an assist from the ship.
Oh,
That
okay.
makes a difference.
It does make a difference because you might be able to generate momentum.
Yeah.
I'll
So the
roll.
ship rolls a weapons and con.
All right. Well, that's I should stop rolling for the ship because I rolled a 19.
Yeah.
Okay, no momentum for you.
But we do have the difficulty for the attacks are lowered by 1 now. So that's good.
So you use your action to sweep the ship into attack pattern Gamma, and you guys have put yourself into an advantageous position, and the litigator is going to try once again to tractor beam this lifeboat that's right in front of it. And this time it succeeds. For a moment, it drops its shields. This red glowing energy comes out and sweeps up this lifeboat and brings it aboard, and the shields flash back up really quickly. So you guys see that happen. You guys are now in an advantageous attack position. What do you do?
Well, we took it to a hangar bay at the rear of the ship, or I remember the design of Ferengi vessels overall, but that doesn't mean that I've ever seen them tractor beam anything into their vessel. So I don't know where they go in the front, in the back, in the side.
You can go ahead and pick, Wayne. I don't know either.
We'll say it's typical of most vessels. It just is in the back. All right.
Okay, cool.
So I think all my attacks now are going to be directed at what is obviously the command section of the Ferengi vessel, which is of course that little wedge-shaped or trapezoid-shaped or whatever section in the front of the vessel.
Okay.
So, all right. Again.
Okay, so now that the attack pattern reduces it from a 2 to a 1, but now you're targeting a specific location of the ship, which increases it to a 2. So it's a difficulty 2 once again, assisted by the ship.
Wow. One right on at 10 and the other one at 2.
We'll go ahead and get
Okay.
the ship,
So,
which is a fail.
The phasers do have the versatile quality, so you generate 2 momentum anyway, and you can roll your damage, Wayne.
all right. Here we go. A 2. Another 2. We have a 3. We have 2 5s. 2 1s. And a 4. And a 2.
So that's 10 points of damage, correct? was my
2 0 1 1 1 1 2. Are you sure? Well, I mean, I don't want to.
I'm not sure, but that was just.
I don't want to reduce us. I don't want to reduce us by any, but okay. There was 2 3s and a 4, correct? That's what I called.
Maybe.
I was
just using my fingers as you were.
I would suggest you look at the dice as you roll them and keep them where they are standing, so you can remember.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately,
I counted 9. I might have done it wrong.
I don't know if it was 9 or 10, but we'll take 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure, we'll take 10, and the litigator's resistance is 5, so it takes a total of 5 points of damage to its shields. So its shields are now critical. And so the rules for Starship Combat, the way you do serious damage to the other ship is you create breaches. And there's 3 ways to create breaches. One is by dropping its shields to 0. A ship automatically takes a breach if its shields go to 0. It takes a breach if it takes damage after its shields have been reduced to 0. And it also creates a breach if it takes 5 or more points of damage, which you guys just did. So the Ferengi just suffered a breach, and I'm going to... I have to figure out where it does the breach, which is in this packet. Okay, so its weapon systems have suffered 1 breach. Okay, so you guys generated 2 points of momentum on that attack. You can spend it now to keep the initiative, or it can go back to the litigator.
Real quick before we make a decision, Captain, shall I make an away team to try to rescue those that have been brought into that Ferengi vessel?
No, we can't drop our shields for any reason in the middle of combats. If we disable the vessel, we can do an away team, but not until then.
Yeah, I just don't want to damage it too much where it causes life support.
This vessel has the desire to hostage and ransom these individuals. It is of our utmost priority to fully disable it before it can escape.
Okay, so I guess the next attack needs to be against the engines. Okay. All right, then. Very good. That was my question. Now it's does anybody want to use the momentum for another attack, or?
Yes, I'll use the momentum. Can I use the momentum and do a direction? All right, fire your phasers on the rear engines to prevent it from flaming.
Okay.
So yeah, this time Terrell, you get to assist on this as well as the ship. So Stephen, you roll for the ship. Terrell, you roll your assistance, and Wayne, you fire your phasers. It's a difficulty 2 once again, since you're targeting the Marauders' weapons, or I'm sorry, engines.
Engines, yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
I rolled a 3 for the ship.
Okay, that's a success.
And I have also 2 successes, only just barely, literally.
Okay.
Ends. I mean, right on, spot on. You know.
You're now at 3 successes, so that generates a point of momentum, plus 2 for the phasers.
That puts us back at 3 momentum.
Yes, sir.
My rolls have been 20, 15, 19, 19. So
Okay.
Amazing.
It would be really good in D&D, huh?
yeah, it's like it knows I'm not playing D&D, so it's just
Right.
All right, Wayne, it is a successful attack, so you can roll damage.
All right, this time I'm gonna write them down after I roll them, so I know what the heck I got here. Oh crap! Lost one. All right, hold on a minute. Okay, so let's see. Let me write these down first. Okay. 2. Okay, I got 2, 1, 5, 6, 2, 2, 5, 3. Yeah, that's 9. Yep, there you go.
9.
So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
11. I had 11 when you were just calling them out.
11. Yep, 11.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Well done. So the resistance is 5, so it's going to take 6, which reduces its shields to 0. So it takes a breach, and it also takes another breach because you did more than 5 damage. So that's a total of 3 breaches that this Ferengi Marauder has taken. So it's this ship is starting to show its actual hull, and its systems are starting to flicker, and it's starting to show real damage. So at this point, I'm going to spend some threat, and the complication that I created earlier with the radiation leaking from the ship, from the damaged ship, reacting with the material in the asteroid belt. And so the Ferengi Marauder actually spends the rest of its energy warping out of the system. But before it does that, it creates an imbalance in the matter-antimatter containment unit in its engine. And as it warps away, it sort of tears a hole in space as this imbalance in its engines reacts with this strange radiation that's going on in the asteroid belt. And before your eyes, on the view screen, you see this orange spiral open up in front of you and immediately sucks in the 3 remaining lifeboats. And you guys realize that this is an artificially created wormhole.
Mother of God. Whatever gods Andorians believe in, anyway. Holy crap.
So just to kind of reset, the Marauder, which has taken damage, it tucks tail and runs. It warps out of the asteroid belt, but before doing that, it creates this artificial wormhole that immediately sucks in the lifeboats with the dozens of people on board.
No.
The damage to the engines didn't disable it?
It took 1 breach to its engines, but that's not enough to disable them.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. Do we go after them? Do we risk it, or?
I'm trying to think about how to respond to this. So, do we have any way of being able to? Do they warp out the Ferengi?
Yep.
And there's no reasonable way to chase after them?
Oh, there absolutely is. You can definitely pursue them, but you would also know that the 3 lifeboats that were just sucked into that wormhole don't have much structural integrity, and they would probably be pretty quickly ripped apart by the gravimetric disturbances in there.
Yeah, they're probably dead.
Would we be able to send? Oh, geez, I got some bad habits from the show I watched. Would we be able to send vessels out to recover it as we chase after the Ferengi?
You wouldn't be able to. The support vessels, like your shuttlecraft, probably wouldn't be able to do much, but maybe like saucer separation.
Should we do a saucer separation, split into 2 parts, and send 1 part to recover them and the others to?
Yeah, but the saucer can only do impulse.
Correct.
after that. And even at full impulse, would they be able to catch the 3 life bolts? That's a big question.
I'm not familiar with wormhole dynamics. I don't think that's on my character sheet.
Stephen, you would probably be able to make like a
That would be under science.
yeah, reason plus sciences.
Reason and science.
Figure something out.
Ooh. Science. It's 1 success.
So you would think that if you acted quickly and you sent the saucer section into the wormhole, you might be able to use the tractor beam or the transporters to save some of them. Maybe not all of them, but if you acted quickly, you might have a chance.
Okay, then my thing would be to go after the Ferengi vessel. So I would ask the captain if wanted me on the battle bridge and go after the Ferengi, because we would have warp capability with the battle bridge. You know,
Yes,
correct.
Let's do that. Let's separate the ship.
Okay, so I'm heading down and grabbing a officer that's on the bridge and calling for all the best in security as far as dealing with the weapons and everything.
Cool. Yeah. So whoever's going with you, Wayne, you guys kind of step to that aft turbo lift. The doors swish shut, and you guys go straight down to the battle bridge, which is slightly smaller than the main bridge. But there's red alert flashing in there as well, and you guys get ready as the ship starts immediately going through its separation procedures. Hold on one moment.
Okay.
This part,
Sweetness. Excellent, Fred. That is awesome, dude. I love that.
This part, the saucer lifts off from the star drive section up in here.
Right.
The saucer disappears into the wormhole, and the lower section warps off in pursuit of the Ferengi Marauder. And so let's take a break right there, maybe like 5 minutes, go to the bathroom, and we'll resolve it after that.
Cool.
Perfect.
All right. Cool, guys.
So much fun.
right, gang, I'm back. Are you guys back?
Yep.
Excellent.
Yep. Here.
All right, perfect. So, to review, you guys had engaged with a Ferengi marauder called the Litigator in the middle of this giant spherical asteroid belt. The marauder, the Litigator, had gone after a transport vessel, had attacked it in the asteroid belt, forcing the ship to disperse all of its lifeboats. And it picked up one of the lifeboats with its tractor beam and it warped away. But before it did so, to try and stop you guys from following her, she opened up an artificial wormhole, which sucked in the other 3 lifeboats. At the same time, we're going to say that the SS Melornia, which had been just sort of adrift in space near a warp breach, actually does blow up. And it's going to do 2 points of piercing damage to both the saucer section and the star drive section. So basically that ignores your resistance. So each of your shields will drop 2 points for whoever's keeping track of that. But basically you guys were able to perform a saucer separation. And Wayne, you are down in the star drive section, which is warping off in pursuit of the Ferengis. And the saucer section enters the wormhole to go after those 3 lifeboats that are kind of in deep trouble right now. You guys have a total of 3 momentum. I have 2 threat. And the SS Melornia explodes just as the saucer section dives into this orange vortex of light and energy. And you guys, just as you take the damage, you're sucked into the wormhole as well. And I don't know if you guys have ever seen Star Trek: The Motion Picture, but it's like time starts to slow down a little bit as you enter the wormhole. As you move, it's like your body, the movement, that it's like streaks with the camera, and you're sort of talking like this, and the ship is rocking back and forth, and the whole thing is very disorienting. And that's where we'll pick it up as you guys enter the swirling orange vortex with 3 lifeboats being thrown around like leaves in a hurricane. Captain Terrell, what are your orders?
Just asking, didn't we separate and go different ways?
Yes.
So only the saucer section is getting sucked into the wormhole.
Right. Yep, and Wayne is captaining the star drive section, which warped off to go after the Ferengi marauder.
Okay. So I'm on the saucer section then?
Yep.
Okay, well then
Unless you didn't want to be. Did you want to be on... It was my understanding that Wayne would be in command of the star drive section, and you would be in command of the saucer.
If he's the tactical officer, then then that's okay.
Okay.
He's sufficient in weaponry.
Yep.
So I would attempt to navigate this wormhole and find the vessels, and then attempt to recover them if possible.
So as you use the sensors to sort of gather what's around you, you can detect that these lifeboats are just being thrown around in this vortex. Right now, they're all 3 intact because you guys acted pretty quickly. But you know that their structural integrity is probably pretty critical at this moment because the gravimetric shear in this wormhole is so great. You think you could potentially... You'd either have to use your tractor beam or you'd have to transport them. Either way is not going to be easy in the extreme conditions of this wormhole. Did I lose you?
No, I'm here. There's 3 of us, right? I'm with Antonio, or
Lieutenant Antonio, you can pick where you want to be.
you'd be with the other one.
Probably still in the saucer, I guess.
Aren't you more of a navigator type?
Yeah, I actually wanted to go after the ship that warped away, though. So I guess I'm in the other.
Cool.
Right, then I guess I'll handle the saucer by myself then.
Yeah, you got lieutenants and ensigns there, I guess.
Yep. Some red shirts.
Yeah. But
Yep.
I just thought that Antonio would actually stay with the captain. I mean, but that's cool. That's cool with me.
It's all right. I trust the 2 of you to operate the ship to the best of your capabilities.
Very good then.
I just figured I would be more useful chasing the other ship down.
Right.
All right. So in the wormhole, I have the option to either teleport or tractor beam.
Yeah, you think either of those options would make the most sense.
All right. I feel like the teleporter would be the most useful thing, as it would be really hard to drag a ship into our ship while we're moving so fast.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, so you've got to basically, there's 3 lifeboats. Each one is going to require a separate transport. And let me look up the rules for transporters and these sorts of situations.
Hopefully that's something I'm not awful at.
Well, everyone can try anything, you know.
Oh, I know.
And you're a captain, so you're going to be competent at least.
Looking at my disciplines and abilities, and I'm just hoping to stay away from some keywords.
Okay, transporters. So ordinarily, this is a control plus engineering task with a difficulty of 1, because you guys are obviously being in a wormhole is a complication, which is going to increase it to a difficulty of 2. You guys have 3 momentum, so you're gonna need to do this 3 times. You can use momentum to buy extra d20s on your task, or you can pay me threat to get an extra d20 as well.
Okay. Well, seeing as I'm in a wormhole, I'd rather not pay you threats. I don't feel like exploding. But yeah, I'm really good at control. Pretty awful at engineering, but I can roll. So I rolled 2 with the ship helping me.
Yep, and the ship will be the ship's sensors plus engineering will assist you.
Okay. I got 1 pass.
Okay, one of you guys roll for the ship. It is, what did I say?
Well,
Sensors plus engineering. So 9 plus 2, an 11.
11 or less?
Yep.
11.
Okay.
That's scary, getting it right on the money like that. Man.
Captain Terrell, you are able to successfully transport the occupants of one of the lifeboats back on board the Sojourner just as it is torn apart by this gravimetric shear.
Can I use 2 points to go again and attempt to rescue another one?
I'm going to say, because you're not actually in Starship combat right now, you're kind of conducting the rescue mission. You don't even need to. You're basically going to get 3 shots at this. And see how well you do on each one. But for right now, I think we'll cut away to the star drive section, which has tracked down the litigator.
Okay. I guess.
Go ahead, Wayne, and narrate for me how close
we're in warp, right? Huh?
I'm going to say that you guys were able to basically force it out of warp by it was damaged, it was limping away, and you guys were able to track it down and force it out of warp. And you can pick what range you're at as you approach it.
Since Lieutenant Antoniou is the navigator, I'll let him decide if we're close, medium, or long.
Part of me wants to be really close so I can ram into him.
You don't ram. This is.
I have the option.
This is not Roman era or Greek era.
Let's try to be long, so we have more options of attack.
Long? Okay. Well, it gives me the photon torpedoes to use. Let's go. All right, then.
Yeah, so you guys drop out of warp at long range, tailing this the litigator, which has suffered. Its shields are down. It's suffered a couple of breaches to major systems. Its power levels are fluctuating. What do you do, Wayne?
Well, I'm assuming that since it took 1, is it kind of arranged the same way? You showed the little vest. You had a thing of it. Is each side in the back represent one? No, the engines are just in the back. Period. It's just one area that it.
Yeah, it kind of looks that way.
Yeah. So. So again, I guess it's going to be It has no shield still, or have they been able to get some up while they were in warp?
Nope, its shields are down.
Okay. So again, it's strike the head. So hitting the command section of the vessel, or targeting it, because where the engines are is also where the hangar bay is. So I don't want to accidentally. We're trying to rescue. Yeah.
Yep.
No.
So that would bump your torpedo attack from a 2 to a difficulty 3 because you're targeting specific parts of the ship.
Okay. So whatever I roll, I add 3 to it, right? Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
Again, instead of 2 like I've been doing.
Whatever you want to get 3. You want to get 3 successes, not 2. So you would need to roll 2 successes on your d20s. Then the ship would assist you, and it would need a success as well, unless you wanted to spend momentum for extra d20s.
It's a very, very, very hard shot with level 3.
Yep. Basically, no margin for error unless you spend momentum to get extra d20s.
Okay. Well, I got a 6 and a 4. So, Steve, Lieutenant Antonio, roll for the ship.
5.
Woo!
That's a success.
Oh, nice. 3 of them.
I was wise to trust in my subordinates.
That's right. Go ahead and roll damage for your photon torpedo. That is 5 CD. High yield, so you automatically get +1 whatever you roll.
Right, and it's 3, right?
It's 5. 5 d6s.
5 d6s. Okay. Well. A 1, a 2, a 6, a 4, and a 6. So that would be what? 5? A 1, a 2, that's 3. 6 and 6 is 2 more, and a 4. Yeah, so which is 0. So yeah.
I'm sorry. What? Say that again.
Okay, I rolled a 1, 2 6s, and a 4.
Okay.
I believe that's 5, correct?
5.
+1, or is that just the +1 on the?
So I just looked it up, and it does. It doesn't. If you successfully do a breach, it does 1 extra breach. But the ship's resistance is still 5, so that cancels out your 5 damage. So basically, it was a successful attack, but it didn't cause any damage to the ship.
Okay. All right.
So the litigator is going to. What should the litigator do? It doesn't really have much of a choice but to fire back with photon torpedoes.
Wow.
So it fires a spread of photon torpedoes at you. This will be its long range, so it's difficulty 2. It's not targeting any specific location. And it's a successful attack. And it does also 5 CD. 1, 5, 2, 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. It does 5 points of damage to you guys, but your resistance cancels out. So its spread of photon torpedoes blows up harmlessly against your shields.
Excellent.
So now we'll cut back to the wormhole where the Captain Terrell was able to successfully rescue the occupants of one of the lifeboats, but there's still 2 more spiraling around in the middle of this vortex.
All right, I would like to attempt to tractor beam another one. I'm sorry, teleport the crew back on.
Yep.
Is just out of curiosity, is the tractor beam a different set of skills than the teleporter?
Yes, it is. The tractor beam is, well, for the ship, it's structure plus security.
I don't know if it's something I'm better at.
Yeah, the tractor beam is a control plus security task, and transporters are control plus engineering.
All right. I saw that the ship exploded right after we pulled it out. I'll try to maybe to stabilize one and pull it in so that this one doesn't blow up.
Okay.
With the tractor beam, of course.
Okay, using the tractor beam. Cool. So it is a, I'm going to say that, well, so it's ordinarily it's difficulty 2, but because you're in the wormhole, I'm going to say it's difficulty 3.
Okay.
So if you like, you can use one of your momentum points to get bonus d20, or you can pay threat to get bonus d20, or you can just roll with it.
I got 2 successes.
Okay.
Someone has to roll for the ship.
All right, hold on a sec.
8.
A 6.
Okay.
Either one would have been a success. So yeah.
So, yeah.
All right, so kind of narrowing her eyes, she kind of locks the position of the ship and manages to stabilize it and immediately pull it through the wormhole nether and place it back in the shuttle bay, hangar bay of the ship as she tries to figure out how to handle the last vessel.
Okay, cool. So you've got 2 out of the 3, and we will now cut back to the starship battle with the star drive section of you guys' ship and the litigator. And you guys have the initiative because the litigator just shot photon torpedoes at you.
Right. Well, I'm going to speak to the tell the new communications officer to open up hailing frequency to the litigator, so I can demand or negotiate their surrender.
Okay. Yeah. So drop my mic. So the view screen flickers for a moment, and you see the appearance of this female Ferengi.
Yeah, what was her name again?
Rasha.
Rasha.
She says, "You'll regret this, Starfleet."
Uh-huh. How so? Disadvantage.
But the Orion Syndicate is nothing to be trifled with. If you let me get these prisoners back to the slave exchanges, then maybe I won't report this to my superiors.
I have a feeling that Starfleet has handled the Orions before quite handily. I think we can do it again. So, will you surrender?
So this is, she is very unlikely to surrender. You would have to create some kind of advantage or reason with her. What reason would you give her that would make her reconsider?
That they can leave, and we will not continue to pursue. And though we have to report the incident and all that, it'll just be marked as typical Ferengi antics.
You let me keep my ship?
Yes, just give us the Federation personnel, and you can go.
Do you have any idea how hard it is for a Ferengi woman to get a command?
At this point, I don't care.
It's nearly impossible. In fact, I ran away from home as a young girl because I knew I'd never get this opportunity. The Orions were the ones who bought this ship for me after I proved my use to them. The litigator is my pride and joy, and I refuse to lose it. You can have your lifeboat back. And she turns and gives an order off screen, and the cargo hold opens up, and the lifeboat drifts out into space, and you guys can see that there appear to be humanoid life signs aboard.
Okay. Then I will ask whoever is going to be my tactical officer, since I'm sitting in the command chair, to hit it with the tractor beam and bring it aboard.
Yep. And as you do that, the Marauder immediately warps away. And so we will cut back to the inside of the wormhole where you guys, or where Captain Terrell has one last lifeboat to rescue as it's swirling around in the center of this vortex.
All right, as before, I will attempt to stabilize it with the tractor beam and pull it back in.
Okay. So the tractor beam is control plus security, assisted by the ship's structure versus security with a difficulty of 3.
Okay. I'll do my 2 rolls. I got 1 pass, 1 fail. I need to see how well the ship did if it passed.
Someone else want to roll for the ship?
Steve, you want to, or shall I this time?
7.
All right, good
Right.
job.
Can I use my momentum to roll an additional time?
Yes, you can.
All right. All right, I got a 5, so I use my momentum to pass. So that puts us down to, I believe, 2 momentum now.
Yep, that is correct. Okay, so I'm going to use my last points of threat to create a gravimetric shear, which as you use the tractor beam, this gravimetric eddy whirls around the lifeboat, and it actually causes the Sojourner to buck a little bit as well. And it rips the lifeboat free of the tractor beam and sends it sailing out through the wormhole, and it's gone.
Oh,
All right. Would I be able to figure out where it went at all?
You can certainly try. That would be
sensor and
yeah, it would be reason plus science for a sensor sweep, trying to figure out where it might have ended up.
All right. Reason plus science, that's pretty good for Vulcan.
Yep, but because this you're in this artificially created wormhole, it's almost kind of random where these things end up. So it's going to be a pretty difficult task. It's going to be difficulty 3.
Okay. I guess I can try. Reason plus science. Okay, I can. This will be pretty rough. You guys want to roll for the ship?
I'll roll this. I'll roll it.
That's a complication. So.
Uh-oh. I rolled a 7 for the ship.
That's
Okay.
2 passes and then a complication.
Okay. Okay. So you are able to deduce exactly where that lifeboat ended up. But because you rolled that complication, I'm going to create a trait called alternate reality. You think that the lifeboat was probably sent through the confines of space-time and into some sort of alternate dimension. And it's going to be pretty near impossible to replicate the conditions that sent it there.
All right. Well.
Cool in a Star Trek sense, but crap. we missed him. Doggone it.
Yeah, that one seems kind of irretrievable at this point.
Yes, I guess we'll attempt to return back through the wormhole if possible.
Yeah, so what happens is you exit out of the wormhole through the other end, and it sends you almost like a sector away. So it's going to take the star drive section probably a couple of days to get to you at high warp.
Okay, well, obviously I can send out all the proper distress beacons and such to notify them.
Right. Okay, and then we get the message and we head to those coordinates in the star drive section at just under full maximum warp, just so to kind of relieve the engines a little bit. They've been working hard all the time. And
going to use the
while we're
force.
doing that, I will submit my my report on what happened between I and Russia in the litigator and all that, and what had to be done in order to get our Federation people back.
Yeah, Captain Terrell, what do you think of your second in command's negotiating tactics?
This is rather unorthodox to let our enemy flee, but it is an acceptable loss in exchange for the lives of the captives. It would be more important to rescue those people than it is to capture a rogue Ferengi who, by her own admission, it's probably not in a good position after her most recent failure to begin with.
Well, and the way I, as in my report and all that, the way I look at it is that obviously the Orions are starting to kind of flex their muscles a little bit and all that, and think that they can buck up against the Federation like they did when maybe it's time to address this situation and get them back into following the Federation rules of trade and at least as much as they were before, even though they always bent the rules as much as possible at the same time. Yeah.
Yes, sometimes it's hard to figure out to strike a balance between Federation rules and rules of acquisition.
In Orion, mercenary and fix and all that as far as the way they do business. Yeah. But obviously something to report to Starfleet for sure.
Yes. One last thing, I suppose. We should interview the crew and ask them under what conditions this raid happened. Perhaps we could narrow down and prevent future strikes if they used a particular tactic.
Right. But I figured we'd get them to sick bay first, and which is in the saucer section. But we get them to sick bay first and all that, make sure they're all right, and then start questioning whoever's left of their command structure.
Yes, I mean, there's going to be multiple days before you arrive back here, so I would do that prior to your arrival.
Yeah, you could start with yours, and I could start with mine. Yeah. All right. So we got a plan.
Cool. So you guys were able to confer over subspace communication, and a couple of days passes, and the Sojourner is able to lock back up its saucer section with its star drive section. And so you guys wanted to talk to whoever was left from the Eye of Melornia, correct?
Yeah, as far as who was part of the command structure, who is the captain of the vessel, or if it's just the executive officer that's alive, or navigator, or whatever, whoever's alive still of the bridge crew.
Yeah, the captain of the SS Eye of Melornia was one of the two lifeboats that Captain Terrell managed to bring aboard. So Captain Terrell, if you wanted to speak with that captain, you certainly could.
Yes, Captain, may I ask, how did your attack happen? Was it an ambush or something more devious?
Yeah, maybe explain to me where you're on this Galaxy-class starship, just like on the Next Generation. Where would you have this meeting?
It would be in my private office.
Okay, cool. In your ready room off the bridge. And so this captain, he's a Eurydian. They've got kind of like droopy, wrinkled skin, sort of like a mop of hair on top of his head. And he steps into the room and sits down across from you, and he says, yes, we were ambushed. I used to bring the Eye of Melornia through the asteroid belt, through the Pinnakin belt as a shortcut. And I hadn't done it in months and months. My guess is someone must have tipped off the Orions that I was going to try it again to make up some time because our transport was running behind.
I see. Well, for future reference, please try to stay clear of there. They have obviously taken to your routing procedures. I would suggest in the future to vary your directions so that you cannot be properly tracked.
Yes, a wise precaution. May I inquire, as I understand, one of the 4 lifeboats that was released was sent into an alternate dimension?
Yes, while we were chasing the 3 of you down in the wormhole, there was a strange rift, a rip in space, and it sent them to another reality that we were unable to access.
Will there be any further actions to try to track them down? They were passengers, paying passengers, you understand.
Oh, good.
Paying passengers. May I ask the business of your ship, please?
We were a personnel transport.
It seems rather reckless of you to take a consistent path with such a large amount of living cargo aboard.
Well, some of my passengers stressed to me that time was of the essence with this particular run.
May I inquire as to why it was so important that you would risk everyone's lives?
I don't ask such questions. All I know is they paid good latinum.
Well, it sounds like something a Ferengi would tell me.
Well, business is business.
I see. Well, I'm sorry to say that this business failure will be, I'm sorry, attributed more to you than anything. I rescued as much as I could, but I could not save the entirety of your passengers.
Well, I guess Starfleet's reputation for excellence is perhaps a little exaggerated.
Perhaps it is exaggerated. I simply did the best that was possible in the circumstances displayed before me.
Oh, of course you did, Captain. I wouldn't mean to suggest otherwise.
Is there anything else you would wish to bring to my attention?
No, I think I've told you everything that I know.
I see. This will all be in my reports when I return it to Starfleet.
Perhaps I might have something else of interest to offer, though it's not the kind of information that I could give away for free.
What is your offer? You're being a rather unscrupulous individual.
If you were to perhaps leave out anything in your report about the Eye of Melornia deviating from its scheduled flight plan, perhaps I could give you some information that would be worthwhile.
I would not forge documents regardless of the price. I would not mislead or misrepresent the events that have transpired today.
Captain, you misunderstand. I'm not asking you to lie. I'm simply asking you to omit.
And an omission of the truth is the same as disregard of the truth.
Of course. Well, then perhaps I should be going.
Perhaps you should. Farewell, Captain.
Bows at the waist and leaves your ready room.
Okay. What about our group?
You guys eventually join up with the saucer section. So you guys basically have the run of a Galaxy class starship, just like on Star Trek: The Next Generation. What would you guys like to do?
I want to the Andorian in me saying, I need to get to the bottom of this. And I want to do a little bit more interrogation. The group that we had, were they just service crew or whatever? There was nobody that was in a command position, or?
I'll tell you what. Give me what's like an interesting Star Trek race that you would like to interact with.
They only showed up in the original series, and they never got any play in any of the other ones and all that. Let's go with Tellarites.
All right, cool.
Because you just don't hear enough about them.
Yeah, so there was a Tellarite crew member of the lifeboat, or a passenger, not a crew member, but a passenger who'd booked passage on the Eye of Melornia, and he was this Tellarite named Calgath was a little bit evasive with you during your official debriefings, but now he's back aboard the Sojourner, and you guys would presumably set course for a nearby starbase to drop these guys off to let them go along their way. Would you want to track him down for a follow-up interview? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, yeah, and maybe even that captain later. But Calgath again, yeah.
So he wasn't very forthcoming in your original interviews. What might an Andorian like you do to get him to open up a little bit?
purely with force of personality, like I guess kind of like a presence and command thing and all that combined. But sit there and say, you paid passage for this thing. That's all you've told me. But I've gotten the briefing from my captain. There was a whole bunch of you that paid for passage. Where was it that you wanted to go?
Well, I simply wanted to get to the other end of the Beta Quadrant, where the Eye of Lornia was going to, where its flight path ended. My business is my own.
Well, when it involves, we having to come and rescue and all that, we need a little bit more information and all that. Where were you headed specifically?
I don't think I like your line of questioning, Andorian.
I don't think I like the way you're answering my questions either.
Maybe give me a presence plus security task. I'm sorry.
Presence plus security, 12 or less. How about a 6 and a 5?
Okay, so describe for me how you're able to kind of intimidate this Tellarite, who's probably like a head shorter than you, looks kind of like a pig. He's got his nose turned up,
Right,
tufts of hair going down the side.
Very pugnacious and all that too. Yeah, well, I guess basically it's gotten down to strong arm tactics and all that. Like a police procedural would go and all that in the interrogation room.
Okay.
So
he opens up and he tells you that he was hired by someone he doesn't even know the identity of, but he was hired because there's some sort of artifact on one of the asteroids on one of the very edge of the Pinnakin belt.
So you had already arrived, Thonir says. So in other words, you had already arrived at your destination and then you were attacked.
It was arranged that we would alter our flight path through the Pinnakin belt. And I was supposed to pick up an artifact on one of the asteroids along the way.
And what was this artifact?
I don't know. I didn't know my employer's identity. He didn't tell me what it was. He told me I would make contact there. But we were attacked by the Orions before I got the chance.
Yeah, when we saw Rasha, we didn't see any of the rest of her crew and all that. They might have been all Orions, even though it was a Ferengi vessel. Yeah, I mean, I'm this information together in my mind and all that. So
let's you sit on that for a moment, and we'll cut to Lieutenant Antoniou. What are you doing aboard now that you're back aboard the Sojourner?
I gonna get back to the vitals and we decided a new head to.
You haven't really decided yet.
I would be more than willing to hear your input on where we should go.
Well,
the ship that we just went to rescue, that was the call that we had gotten, right?
Yep.
Yeah, Malornia.
All right. I honestly don't know.
To review, you've got a bunch of passengers and some crew from this transport vessel, one of whom is telling you that the flight path of this transport was intentionally diverted so one of them could pick up some sort of artifact in the Pinnakin belt.
Right.
Right. I
Would
guess I'm headed toward a good place to drop them off.
Yeah, one of the star bases. Yeah.
Yeah, so they can figure out what they're doing, because they're not really any use for us.
Cool. So you guys can absolutely set course for a nearby starbase. What does Lieutenant Antoniou do when the ship is not when the ship's not plunged into a crisis situation?
I'm plotting a course for the place to drop them off, and then I'm watching a very old tape of Cool Runnings that I found. Just on like a little,
wow.
some little
Wow.
video player.
He had a replicator of it. Just
Yeah.
replicates
A
the
guy
old
like
VHS tapes.
20th century cinema.
Are you a historic buff of the 20th century cinema?
Looking back on my human roots,
I see.
seeing what they were up to,
In the 20th
and trying to learn some piloting skills from, their experience of piloting a bobsled.
in the 20th century, we had advanced far beyond VHS technology. I believed we used what were called laser discs. Very advanced technology for the time.
Yeah, so I sort of see you guys sitting at a table in like 10 forward, talking about, finishing up this mission, and all of a sudden Lieutenant Antoniou starts talking about his love for this old movie about bobsledding. How do the other characters react to that?
Oh,
I have no idea what bobsledding is. Is that some sort of sailing? Is that primitive starship technology?
To a degree, and I'm going to go into vast detail about the sort of moral implications of, leading a team to this gathering of, the greatest athletes in the world of Earth, and the moral implications of, potentially cheating, and, John Candy and his brilliance.
I see.
okay.
There have been numerous cases of cheating being deemed acceptable in the history of Starfleet. Just remind yourself that it always depends on the necessary amount that you need to do to attain victory, be it in combat or in recreation. Sometimes a case can only be defeated by cheating.
Yeah, well, Thonir is sitting there going, wait a minute. You said this is a sport on ice?
It is a sport on ice.
Yeah, everybody knows that Andoria is mostly ice. Basically, it has two poles that basically extend over half the planet, and then you basically just have a tundra and temperate zone at the equator at best. And even then, it's winter half the time even there. So
I believe it.
This might be something I could take back to Andoria and all that and start a new trend.
I believe if Andorians were to partake in bobsledding, I believe they would be vastly superior to humans in that regard. It's only natural, being that they are creatures more used to the ice.
And Thonir smiles and says, "Thank you, Captain." I believe
you might
right.
be surprised, however, as the heroes of this particular film were not used to ice. They were, in fact, from the warmer climates of Earth itself.
That is illogical. That makes
So-
no sense.
So despite the circumstances of one's birth and upbringing, it's really more about persistence and pushing yourself to achieve the things that you would like to achieve.
Perhaps he is right. I feel that an Andorian would not have to try very hard, and perhaps they would lack the motivation to be proper bobsledders.
This is true. However, the antagonists of the particular film were very used to the ice, and it led to them being a little too much hubris, and they ended up not doing so well because they were so convinced that they would do well.
This is interesting. I'm sensing much hubris, yet it is from the humans. Most interesting. Most interesting.
And then as this conversation goes, and we're talking about the price of cheating and lying and all that, Thonir gets a thought and taps his communicator and says, "Security to Calgath's room. Ask the captain and Antonio to follow along." All of a sudden, something has come to mind.
All right.
All right.
So we're all there in Calgath's room for another interrogation, but this time in his room that he's been sequestered.
Mhm.
And Thonir's main equipment is this communicator and his tricorder. He has his tricorder with him, and he starts scanning and all that and says, "Okay, Calgath, where is it?" Let him see if he can figure out exactly what I mean, or if he's slow.
He looks at you completely puzzled and also sort of outraged. So, what's the meaning of this?
Well, you said that you were sent to the Pelican belt there to pick up an artifact.
Yes, I told you everything I
I
know.
think that it wasn't just to pick up people for their slave trade. I have Ferengi are always looking for a profit. I think they knew about this artifact also, and knew that you had it. And I'm scanning for anything that is not, anything that basically the equivalent of registering a carbon dating that is obviously relatively ancient.
Yeah, go ahead and give me a reason plus science task.
Science, a 5 and a 2.
Okay. You do detect.
Everybody loves me to be the DM because I roll so bad. I end up, no matter how bad my monsters are.
I know the feeling, man. I know the feeling. But yeah, you conduct a really thorough tricorder scan of the quarters, and you do find something that appears of ancient origin. The only problem is it appears to be inside Calgath. And with that cliffhanger, we will end the session.
Touche.
Get a real Joker feel, like somebody's about to call cell phone in the stomach.
Yeah, maybe. I didn't even think about that, but yeah, that's exactly like that.
But we're gonna have to go to the sick bay and do a scan of a Star Trek MRI.
We're going to have to do a cesarean section and remove the baby.
A male Tellarite really like that.
So what did you guys think of Starship Combat? I'm pretty sure I didn't get all of the rules perfectly right, but I think I got it pretty close. What do you guys think?
I think I feel like something was off, and it's not that you did anything bad or anything. I feel like I think there's supposed to be some sort of order for the players to go, and the reason why I say this is anytime I would order somebody to do something and they did it, that would be just mathematically better than them doing it on their own because they get an assist, right? So it would by design be not calling you dumb for doing this. It would be dumb for someone to do it on their own because they would miss out on a free boost. Now, obviously, if you have to cycle through the players, then obviously they can't always get that boost, right? And that would make sense. So I'm feeling the idea of anyone goes and does an action, that doesn't seem balanced. You know what I mean? Anytime I go, it's better than anyone else going because I make them better.
So you can that's the way it's supposed to work is each of you gets an action every round, and then so you can only use your direct action once, and everyone else has to have an action before it can come back around to you again. So it's not like you can just sort of spam direct every single time. You know
I understand, but the way you were doing it wasn't like that. We weren't doing all of us go around. We did one of us, and then we go to them. One of us, we go to them.
Yeah, there's no like initiative order. It's just that you can choose. You guys can choose your initiative order. The only thing is you can't go twice before another guy while another guy hasn't gone at all. You know what I mean?
I understand. I'm just saying it seemed kind of like there was no form or order to that. You know what I mean? Like it seemed like a bit of a melee. It seemed like a bit of a melee at that. Like, all right, I want to do my combat maneuver. I want to fire. I want to reposition the ship.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of felt a little wild and out of control there.
Yeah. I mean, there really isn't any sort of guidance for initiative. Basically, you guys get to choose what order you act in, just as long as no one acts twice before someone else acts once.
Yeah, I just what I'm trying to say is it didn't seem like there was we weren't going in an order at all. It kind of just felt like.
I think what I didn't do right was I needed to be more specific about when one round starts and when the other one ends. You know what I mean? Like, I should have said, okay, that was round one. Now we start over with round two, and anyone who wants to act may act, something like that.
Yeah, I just feel like is a round like I'm still kind of confused about a round. You're saying all of us act in a round, right?
Correct.
And is a round? What is a round? Is it one turn for each of us?
Plus a certain number of turns for the enemy as well.
All right, because the way you were playing it was only one of us was acting in a round, and then the enemy would act, and then we would act, and the enemy would act. And I'm not saying that's wrong or whatever. I'm just confused.
I think what I might have done wrong was I might have allowed some of you to act twice in a single round.
Well, you can if you're doing the command.
Yeah, the only time you did though is if you said if we wanted to use
momentum.
One of our
momentum,
or one or two of our, that we had just generated and all that, and that's like, well, that allowed me to have the comm officer hail the vessel that one time, to see if they had maneuverability enough to just fly into the hangar bay themselves. Plus, then I did my phaser attack at the same time. So, So I did go twice that one round, but I don't think I did twice any other round, just that one.
Yeah, and that would have been a mistake on my part, allowing that to happen. Yeah, that would have been against the rules. But I think you're right. I don't think I did it too much, but I'll definitely make it a point to make sure that I'm thinking more in rounds rather than just actions.
Yeah, I'm just, I wasn't complaining. I was just stating that seemed a little.
And this is the first time I've run this stuff, so I definitely want to figure out where my blind spots are and get better for the next time.
Right.
I can't give like super serious critical analysis because I know less about the rules than you do, so I can't even say what I was doing wrong because I have no idea. When I play 5e, I know every single rule perfectly, and when I was playing this, I didn't really know anything.
Anybody else? Thoughts? Concerns?
Yeah, it was all right. I don't have any super concerns.
No, I guess really actually the one thing that surprised me is that it seems that in the TV series and the movies, photon torpedoes kick butt.
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
The phasers kick butt, but the photon torpedoes were like,
Yeah,
like pinging rocks off a brick wall. You know, I mean,
torpedoes did absolutely nothing, and they're supposed to be way more powerful than phasers.
Right.
I don't know if they were being used incorrectly or whatever, but photon torpedoes are supposed to like destroy stuff, man. They couldn't get past the armor of a ship.
Do like piercing damage, you know, and punch through things. You know, I mean, I always looked at it as that whenever you know, they always have the ideas that, you know, you think of it in like an oval, but you have the front oval, which is the forward shields, the back ovals, the backward shields, and then two concave areas, port and starboard, which are the port and starboard shields. And when you hit it with a photon torpedo, one photon torpedo could like knock out at least half the shields just one photon torpedo with one attack, and weaken, you know, the forward whatever shield is targeted, you know.
So I think looking at the rules,
I like the idea of the shields and the resistance, but you know, I also would think that it would be cooler, and this is the way the system is obviously set up, so this is not you, but that the shields would be given 4 designations for forward, aft, port, and starboard, so that when you target a certain area of the ship, it affects that set of shields, not just the shields overall.
So, you know, I've played like the FASA Star Trek and Last Unicorn Game Star Trek, where they did have, you know, forward and aft shields, and like you said, I think FASA had even like 4 different shields, and to me that made miniatures almost like completely necessary because you had to keep track of position of the ship so closely. To me, I like just one number for shields because it makes kind of theater of the mind and zone combat possible. So I'm actually a big fan of simplifying Starship combat.
Directional shields are a very crunchy type of gameplay design.
You're probably, you guys are probably right. I mean, see, I have the FASA edition of Star Trek and have played it a couple of times, and that, I guess that's why I kind of missed that, you know.
Oh yeah, yep. I know people would just use the Starship simulation rules for FASA, and they just play like Starship Combat. You know, they wouldn't even use it as an RPG.
Right. Well, the thing is I also have Starfleet Battles Volume 1. And a lot of times what I would do then is whenever it came into a ship-to-ship battle sequence, I'd break out the board and break out a Federation ship and whatever ship or ships they're attacking and all that, and just put them on the board and all that and say, okay, you're maneuvering how, you know, use the FASA rules as far as that, but I would use the board so that people could see positioning, you know. Yeah. Plus, the Starfleet Battles just as a board game is just really fun too.
Yep.
Because I like board games. I do a lot of the Avalon Hill war games type stuff too. So yeah. Also, especially
well, cool guys.
All right, man. Yeah, this was great though.
Yeah, thanks for playing. I really appreciate it.
Yep.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah. Hopefully we can do it again.
It was a good time.
So when are they coming out with the whole thing? I mean, complete.
So they're done with the play test, and they just announced a pre-sale or pre-order for the actual books. I think the core book is going to come out at the end of August. I think they're going to sell it at Gen Con. And they've got like specialized dice. They're going to have an adventure book. They've got like a Gamemaster screen. Like it's a pretty robust sort of opening lineup for products, but I haven't looked at it all that closely, honestly.
All right. And who is the publisher?
It's Modifius. I think they're like a British company.
Okay. Man, they've been doing a lot of stuff. They bought up a lot of systems, I think. Aren't they the ones that also do the Mutant Year Zero now?
I think so. Yeah, and I think they did Conan.
Oh, they got Conan too?
Yeah.
Wow. Nice. So they're kind of like really aggressively getting into this whole thing. Yeah.
I think so.
The whole RPG universe, as it were.
Yep, the big properties.
Yeah. All right. Hey, Fred, Steve, and great playing with you guys, man. It was a lot of fun.
All right, thank you.
Have a good night, fellas.
All right. Good night.